Hey traders, checking in on the cryptocurrency space. It's a rainy robe day out there and the Bitcoin bulls are breaking key resistance and the dominance chart is going up at the same time. There's a lot of clues out there that are shifting the probabilities for me that make an ETF being approved in the short term more likely than not. I'll show you what all those little clues are and we'll see what the bulls are going to have to do for us to be talking about all-time highs before the end of the year. All right, so checking in on the Bitcoin chart, as always, price action is more important to me than narratives, but there are often times where price action can give us clues as to narratives. So what has gone on for Bitcoin in the last week is shifting my probabilities as to what I think is the most likely scenario going forward, and I do believe that an ETF is likely to get approved here in the short term, and I will tell you why I feel that way. So first off, Bitcoin with a wonderful bull break. We set our weekly high or low, and I have now moved up my stop losses on my swing positions to these weekly higher lows, because if we break those levels without seeing new all-time highs, that's a big red flag for me. So that's where my stop losses are going on swing positions. But the bull break of 53,000 is very notable. So why is that notable? So if you look at the retracement from where we bottomed out, we pulled back 55% on this pullback. That size of retracement for me makes the most likely scenario a tightening range with a lower high compared to 53 and then tightening up. Now, if you tell me, well, the stock market's at all-time highs and there's a lot of euphoria and confidence in markets, I'll say, okay, absolutely, we can break bull. But what we have happening is Bitcoin is counteracting the weakness in the broader market. So looking at SPY, over this past couple of weeks, we've been weak. There's been bounce days mixed in there, but we are still testing our lows and trying to hold those lows. So it's not the broader market confidence. In fact, it is Bitcoin completely disregarding the broader market to give a bull break, which for me was the less likely scenario. So I was confident that a break in 53,000 was more likely than not eventually, but to have multiple weeks of consolidation for a 55% retracement straight into 1 week of bullish action to a higher high, that is unusual. So that is point number one as to why I think an ETF is upcoming. And we have ETF decisions upcoming in mid-October here. So I believe October 18th is a date that we're looking towards. And it's possible that they kick the can down the road like they've done so many times and say, we're delaying this decision and we'll get to it in December. That's a possibility. But another reason, the dominance chart. So we know the pattern with cryptocurrency has been that ever since we topped out here all the way back in January, that when we see strong cryptocurrency environment, it is altcoins that are leading the way up. Sometimes we'll get Bitcoin making a bull move and then it will fade, which is what happened recently where Bitcoin makes a bull move up and then the dominance chart just does nothing but fade and give that move back as the altcoins then see inflow. And that's what happened here. We rejected from a resistance level on the dominance chart, and then the altcoins played catch up after the bull break had already taken place on Bitcoin. So now we have a big time breakout. And what has been taking place is Bitcoin is going up faster than altcoins, and it is consolidating less than altcoins on the pullbacks, which is leading to an equilibrium breaking bull on the dominance chart. And now we zoom out and we look at our weekly resistance as we have a monthly tightening range. Let's just look at the monthly. So double bottom on the monthly, we held support, and now we're looking up at 49.16 as a key level from here. So in my opinion, this is another point that shows money flowing into Bitcoin as opposed to altcoins. So making note of that. And again, that's another point in favor of people anticipating an approved ETF. We also have Joshua Lim here pointing out on Twitter the fact that the CME futures are notably higher than futures traded on at other places. And one of the most likely scenarios, in the opinion of many, is that the ETF that will be approved is the ETF that is going to be based on CME futures of Bitcoin. So that's another clue. We're seeing increased activity and a premium, so to speak, on these futures. So for all those reasons, I feel that we are looking towards an ETF having a decent probability. And again, it's just probabilities. It's always probabilities. So if before the past week took place, if I said, well, maybe 50-50 that an ETF is going to get approved here before the end of the year, with this now price action taking place, that now goes to 60%. I'm now 60% confident that an ETF is coming. So what does that mean? Does that mean it's going to be a sell the news event if it were to happen from here? The more we run up, it all depends. Say we get a decision on the 18th in 12 days. If we run up and we're extremely overextended, I would look for an initial bull reaction on that announcement, but for it to be short-lived. Because again, this is potentially, why would it be going up now? Well, it's number one, insiders in the know. If an ETF is coming, there's going to be a lot of people that know it's coming, and there's no inside trading laws, so they can buy based off of that. And then you have people like myself and other professional traders that are reacting to price levels, and it's just this self-fulfilling prophecy to a certain degree that gets kicked off by bullish sentiment and underlying buying. So I would expect that the harder we run, that if we see an announcement approved, that we would see a bull reaction on that, but it would be very short-lived. And the reason for that is, okay, you have to think about who's left to buy at a certain point. So let's say an ETF approval is coming. We have people that are in the know, they buy first. You have people like us, traders, that are playing based off of the equilibrium breaking bull, that are aggressively buying dips because of the significant volume increasing on the daily time frame, or because we're seeing short-term dips being bought very aggressively, which we'll look at in just a second, or because we broke 53,000. Either way, the all-time high is back in the conversation. So you have the insiders buying, you have the people in the know buying, and the last people that are going to be buying are people that are late, that are buying on the actual announcement. So once those people buy, now who's left? Let's say the announcement has taken place, and let's look forward 2-3 hours from that announcement. Who's left to buy at that point? Not a whole lot of people. So again, as far as supply and demand is concerned, the supply will be a bit more than demand a few hours after the announcement takes place. Now, let's say we consolidate on the daily time frame first, and some bears jump in and say, I don't think we're going to get an all-time high on this push, and bears jump in, and we consolidate on the daily. And some bulls lock in their profit, and maybe they don't care about an ETF. Then if the ETF gets announced, I would expect a little bit more follow-through to happen, because you have consolidation, you have bulls that are willing to buy because we're not too overextended. You have anybody that's shorted into that daily consolidation underwater very quickly. And I would expect a bit more follow-through if things have cooled off before an announcement. So what the price action is doing before the announcement in the days preceding it does matter to me as far as how much of a sell the news scenario I'll be looking for. And again, this is all short-term mindset, because even if it is a sell the news reaction, we're just going to look for a daily high or low, and then the all-time high is going to keep in the picture. And we certainly know that bulls are aware that they can make good money by pushing things to new all-time highs and triggering FOMO and having things run significantly up towards 100,000. So that's what we're watching in the short term. And any broader market strength is only going to help any dollar weakness. That's another factor. Bitcoin's been running in the face of a very strong dollar. The dollar is at testing the highest levels that we've seen in 11 months. No, not that long. Yeah, 11 months. That's notable. So bulls are positioned really well for dollar consolidation, for the S&P 500 to set a monthly high or low, and that's a good place for the bulls to be. And the narrative will continue to be the outperformance of the broader market and the metals and all that. And then you throw an ETF on top of it, there's going to be headlines, there's going to be CNBC coverage, and all that fun stuff. So as far as bulls aggressively buying the dips, because dips are very short-lived, right now we're looking at, let's talk about the current price action. We're looking at a top of 55.3 thousand as stops triggered on the 53K break. We set a little support level at 53.7. We failed the initial high, and now we get a 15-minute equilibrium forming. You could make the argument it's still a possible cup and handle because this is a half-hour bull flag trying to form. But if we drop down and break, 54.4, then it's just going to be a 30-minute equilibrium. And what we're watching for is sideways range for altcoins to potentially play catch-up. Because again, that's what happens. When Bitcoin leads the way, it breaks out, it leaves the altcoins in the dust in this current environment now that the dominance chart is going up. And then as it consolidates sideways, altcoins take their turn. And we're going to be watching for the dominance chart to give us any potential clues of that. The half hour is tightening up just like Bitcoin is. But if the dominance chart starts showing us weakness relative to Bitcoin USD, because again, right now it's pretty much tick for tick to a certain degree with their correlation. But if it breaks bear and the US dollar pairing does not, that tells us that we're seeing some rotation into altcoins. Trader Pro alert system. It's showing us bulls are aggressively buying dips. This is the 15-minute back burner. So after the bull break took place on our move up over 50,000, the first 15-minute oversold conditions triggered around 50.7, and then we ripped to a higher high. And if you zoom in, again, there's just shorter term. We had a 5-minute back burner that got a bit of a bounce, and now we're in back burner territory where after this big move up to 55, we're going to be watching for the next 5-minute oversold conditions for a day trade bounce play off of that, because there's lots of space for an hourly higher low to form, and bulls are going to be looking for 5-minute oversold conditions to align with a potential hourly higher low. So traderpro.com, and it's free to sign up and play around with the interface. And then if you want the more in-depth, more complex alerts, that's when you pay some money for them. But again, nice to be able to see visually bulls are aggressively buying short-term dips. And the 15-minute back burner on Bitcoin shows us that, and we'll continue to watch the back burners to see if 5 and 15-minute oversold conditions lead to bulls buying dips. So if you are not in a position, now what? Well, obviously in hindsight, the time to be entering bullish, the ideal scenario was playing off of support. The second best entry was the clear daily equilibrium bull break. Again, we knew there was a bull lean back there, and we knew volatility was incoming. So this is best case scenario as far as the breakout that could have taken place. So what now? Well, aggressive bulls that are looking for an entry, you're going to be watching for a 4-hour higher low as the last one hit daily EMA or hit 4-hour EMA 12. A patient bull is going to wait for daily consolidation. And ideally, you hopefully have no touch positions that are your anti-FOMO positions that keep you patient looking for that daily higher low to form. Look at the RSI. The RSI on Bitcoin since all-time highs. So in all-time highs, we know RSI can go nuts. But since all-time highs, the RSI has topped out at 72.5. Another top out at 75. Another top out at 71.5, 72.5, 71, 69, 68.5, and here we are at 70. We were at 70 up at the high. So we are in an area that historically we see consolidation. Yes, it can go up another few points. 59.6 is the next major resistance level, but generally speaking, risk to reward does not favor buying with an RSI over 70. Now, if we're going to run straight to all-time highs, we know RSI goes out the window to a good bit. But if we're not going to see all-time highs on this push, we can anticipate some daily consolidation. And knowing that there's a week plus until we get a potential result or a decision on ETFs, we may see some daily consolidation. I anticipate that bulls will be aggressively buying any daily consolidation because there's a lot of people feeling FOMO right now and they don't want to miss a new all-time high run. But that is what patient bulls are waiting for. Ideal scenario would be first hourly oversold conditions into a daily higher low to give bulls a chance to get on board. And then we'll be talking about all-time high tests, especially if an ETF gets approved. On to ETH. So ETH daily uptrend is intact. Anything above 32.69, a higher low. 36.76 resistance is still resistance. We have not broken that price. Look at the weekly. So what did I talk about? The weekly most likely scenario for Bitcoin. Well, here's ETH still very possibly giving us the weekly most likely scenario of a lower high. That resistance that the bulls need to break is still well over 10% away. So it's possible that some altcoins give us these tightening ranges. So keeping an eye out for that. And if we lose that daily support level of 32.69, then that weekly lower high will likely be set. And of course, the bulls want to break 40, 30, if Bitcoin gets a push to all-time highs and then starts some consolidation, again, we'll be watching for then money to flow around. And it's going to be everybody's trying to get to the next runner, and Ethereum will be positioned well for an all-time high push. You know, if we just tighten up here, there are no red flags for bulls if it takes a little bit longer to tighten up this range. And again, my stop is moved up because it would be a big red flag for me if we did that. ETH BTC is weak. Monthly lower high set. So we have the high of the breakout. We consolidated. We didn't see monthly consolidation, but I know that there was consolidation going on the weekly time frame. 552 is a key level. We failed to break the high, and now we're looking for a monthly high or low compared to 552. And if you want to zoom to the 2-week time frame, it's a little bit more clear, tightening range. And the daily is approaching oversold. Keep an eye on this downtrend support line. But again, I like that 2-week time frame for bigger picture. Looking for the higher low and continued tightening range there. SHIB has been getting all the attention. We're at the part of the cycle in SHIB where my good old boy neighbor, who doesn't do anything in markets, is calling me, asking me how to buy SHIB, because if it goes to a penny, $100 can turn into $10,000, and his friend doubled his money. So just be aware that that's where we're at in this push. Hourly, potential little head and shoulders here. So we have the left shoulder. We did get a higher high, but if we fail 25 and then roll over and break 205, we will confirm an hourly downtrend, and that will be short-term momentum lost, and we'll then be looking for a 4-hour high or low, anything above 1571. And we'll be watching. We can just see we hit 5-minute oversold. Nice bounce from 5-minute oversold conditions. So at this point, I would then be watching 15-minute oversold conditions, looking for a 4-hour high or low if we get that bear break. And the BTC pairing is a bit weaker. There's some early little red flags. It already confirmed an hourly downtrend where the US dollar pairing hit a higher high here. And there's a lot of exchanges that have different technical setups because of the lack of liquidity here. But lower high, lower low on the hourly where the US dollar pairing hit a higher high. So that's just the first little indication. Okay, keep an eye out because the BTC pairing is losing the spotlight a little bit. ADAUSDT, daily equilibrium, worth paying attention to. Bulls looking for this to be a laggard. They love the fundamentals. Trying for a higher low compared to 202. Must break 232. And look at the BTC pairing. Daily oversold bounce attempt. Waterfall drop. Stair-step pattern. Again, look at our YouTube channel for that trade strategy. But it's a lower high every single day for 11 days in a row. And we're watching for that pattern to break. This is a waterfall drop. So we are very due for an ADA BTC bounce, and bulls are hoping it can help with a daily bull break of 232. AXS USDT, daily higher low trying to be set here. Hourly falling wedge was a beauty this morning. So when the most likely scenario on the daily is a higher low, and the hourly RSI got close to oversold, but bulls front ran the dip, this was a beaut. And again, it's easy to look back in hindsight, but it stood out this morning. I spelled hourly wrong, apparently. AXS USDT hourly falling wedge watch scouting a daily higher low. And that was at 6:30 all the way back here. And again, just knowing that a daily higher low is the most likely scenario is why we're looking for a bullish pattern on the shorter term time frames. The hourly trend change confirmed. Big time move off the lows. Next resistance, 145.86. And we will likely need a confirmed 4-hour higher low and higher high if this can be a daily bull flag. And the BTC pairing getting its breakout now as a laggard. The bull break happened on the US dollar pairing and now the BTC pairing. So again, this is Bitcoin trading sideways. Dominance chart sideways. But the BTC pairing on AXS, they're taking their turn. Saying, all right, Bitcoin's calming down, funds going into AXS, and just all morning I've just been watching one by one, and there it is, 8%. It was what, just 4% a minute ago? But I've just been watching one by one while this was all red, and then a couple names had 1 to 2% green, and now we got a handful more names green. So it's a slow motion inflow into some of these alts, and AXS is looking like it is the lead alt benefiting from Bitcoin sideways consolidation. Feel free to ask any questions. Congrats to the bulls. Hope you're well. Let's talk all-time highs, hopefully before the end of the year. We're keeping an eye on the ETF decision. Do good things. Check out traderpro.com. Play around with it for free. And we'll see you soon.